The Lemonade Car Show is sponsored by OMVIC, Ontario's vehicle sales regulator. Welcome to the Lemonade Car Show. I'm your host, Lorraine Sommerfeld. We're brought to you by OMVIC, Crown, Hotspot Auto Parts, and Sound Insurance. I'm joined today by John Raymond. He's a consultant with the APA, and JP Ostiguy. He is, well, the man of everything, frankly, when it comes to new cars. JP, we haven't seen you
I know, it's been a while.
Since last season, but welcome back, and
Thank
welcome
you so
to
much.
our new studio and our new
This is awesome.
station. Yeah, it's very nice. So it's great to have you back. New cars are always a hot topic, especially this time of year. We come into fall, all the new models are out, so lots of questions going on. How to buy, when to buy, where to buy. You're the guy. So let's start. You can start wherever you want, actually.
Well, this is the information show, so we should really start at car shopping. And what does that entail? And the more homework you do, probably the better deal you're going to get.
Okay. I know, JP, you're a big internet guy. You've brought that to the forefront of every place you've been with since I've known you, which is years now. You've been really moving into the e-commerce. How's the internet changed how we buy for cars?
Well, it's given more access to free information. It's given access to people can do their research beforehand versus just walking in blind with just brochures. We can see the invoice pricing, we can see the MSRP, we can see all the physical rebates. We can watch YouTube videos and many resources on how people like that vehicle, what it did for my family, what the not so goods. So the resources available are huge, and the average person watches about 16 hours of video before they make their purchase.
What's the biggest downside, though? Because I know sometimes it's like Yelp reviews for restaurants or something. You don't always know who's seeding what. So how should a smart buyer come at that internet information?
When you consume all your content, look at what matters to you. Also, there's 12,000 people who don't like Disney on Google. Doesn't mean that it's not a great place. It just means those people have a difference of opinion. If 25 of 30 are sound the same and others are not, maybe go with the majority, and also go with your own insight. A lot of people go with just one thought, but be open to other ideas from other people, and then make your own decision.
And one of the things JP hasn't said is virtually every car purchase today involves some sort of internet activity, even if it's not by the car purchaser, by a friend of theirs. Also, interestingly, not too long ago when we went car shopping with our parents, we did the mill on a Saturday and went from one store to another store, and this went on for weeks. Today, the average new car buyer goes to visit 1.6 stores. And when we were young kids, not that long ago, our parents went anywhere from 4 to 7 different automotive retailers or dealerships, and today it's less than 2.
I think one of the downsides to this, I love the access to information that both you are talking about, but the stats are also indicating that people are test driving fewer cars. So they're actually putting their butt in less seats.
They're making their decision more up front.
And what I hear when I get mail is sometimes people are ending up, the car is perfect except for the fact it's not perfect for them because of seating or sight lines or the pillar placement. So even though you've got all this information, please still go test drive.
Absolutely.
More than 1.6 cars, and for each person in your family who's going to be a driver in that car, because someone very tiny and someone very tall are going to have, this will be the best car in the world for one of them, and it might be an absolute deal breaker for the other one. So you can only find out so much, then you have to put your hands on that car and get in it.
Well, we're completely adamant about that at the APA through our referral, our buying services, where essentially we tell our members, before you choose anything, you go out there, you hit the payment, you try the cars. That doesn't mean only sitting in them saying, oh, what a great radio and interior, but that means getting on the road and doing simple things like parking. Yeah. Can I back the car up? Does it fit in my garage? Do I feel comfortable? Will the seat kill me?
How amenable are new dealers to letting you take it out for longer than around the block? Some of them have it on a leash.
Well, some are really good, and we're seeing a better migration to that side of it as customers. Let's be honest, we're all sensory deprived now with so much going on. We get tunnel vision. Dealers are generally fighting for the same space, so they're letting people do more in order to earn their business. We have to earn customers' business to be proper. You can't just expect people to walk in and buy from you anymore. There's too much competition.
Well, I find what's tough is it's a huge purchase. Like even if you're buying an entry-level car, it's an awful lot of money, yet it's a really emotional purchase still. I hate shopping. I tend to walk in and go, that. And I mean, I have a little more backup behind me, so I can get, but for anyone else who acts like I do, which is not necessarily very responsible, it can be a really stupid way to buy a car, because it's like, just get me out of here, I'll take it. So I like if dealers are saying, yeah, go.
Yeah, well, and there's a way to find out, talk to your dealer before and make sure that you have a scheduled time. If you just show up at a dealership, you can do that, but you may not have that level of service that you would potentially have with an appointment or with a professional. And make sure you talk to a manager as well as the staff member before you book your appointment, just to get an idea of what you're going to be dealing with.
So mutual level of
And
respect.
consumers also have other choices. They could pay a dealership to borrow a courtesy car and leave their car behind, so
rent
they're
one.
covered in it. Or they could rent one. If you look at companies like Enterprise or Thrifty,
The
they
rental
have
fleets.
probably 60% of what you want to try on the road. They may not have your trim level
Yeah.
or engine, but you have an idea of how it feels.
Yeah, we even have routes in our own group that you can actually come and rent a car from, and once you return it, you're in an auto park, so you can go to the dealer that you liked in the car.
And check.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think traditionally it's been so adversarial. I know, JP, you're one of the only people I know that I have on this show that says buying a new car sucks.
It does.
And I love that you're so blunt about it,
Well,
because
it's
tough.
like people look at root canal just a little bit lower in the spectrum of enjoyment than buying a car a lot of times, because people don't do it every day, and with less training involved with everything else, people find that the experience is horrible.
We'll be right back with more about new cars and root canals. More lemonade when we come back. The Lemonade Car Show is sponsored by OMVIC, Ontario's vehicle sales regulator. The Lemonade Car Show is sponsored by OMVIC, Ontario's vehicle sales regulator. Welcome back to the Lemonade Car Show. I'm your host, Lorraine Sommerfeld. I'm with John Raymond and JP Ostiguy, and we're talking about buying new cars. Before we went to break, we're talking about how to actually buy a car. Let's talk about where to buy a car. What's the best way to find a dealer, and does it have to be a dealer? We see a lot of ads online. JP, you go first. When I walk into a dealership, is that the only way you want to sell me a car, or do you know that people are also cross-shopping you with
It's your money. It's your money. Be smart with it. That's the first thing. Dealers have a statement of ethics that we have to do with the manufacturer, with the OEM dealers, with the customer, with management. We have a set level of expectations, and there's levels of protection for the customer. When you go to a private dealer, they're still great. Just make sure you do your research on that dealer, and then you have private sales, the individual selling the car.
This show is sponsored by OMVIC, was the Ontario Motor Vehicle Industry Council, which I reeled off at a party last week, and everybody just stopped cold. So I feel really special about that. I've been saying it for 7 years. You look for that certificate in new and used car dealerships because it's consumer protection if something goes sideways. John, if I go on Kijiji and find that, Kijiji is a rat's nest of all kinds of things. There's good deals in there, but there's also nightmare deals in there.
Well, a recent OMVIC survey, through some research on their part, noticed that almost 50%, depending on time of year, it could be more, are either dealers that are falsely advertising their product as a private, or what we call curbsiders, people that are unregulated, not licensed, in this case in Ontario by OMVIC, and selling cars out of their backyard. And they look like a private person selling their car, but in fact they are unregistered individuals selling multiple cars.
Now, I know if you go on OMVIC's website, which is a hoot, because they list everyone they've busted,
Yep.
they list every dealership that's had slaps against them, so you can just omvic.ca go in and
And good
find all that
business
stuff.
practices for operators, and also good practices, car shopping practices for consumers.
Yeah, there's a lot of information, which is cool.
And you can, well, I'm sure I'm going to cut you off, but you can actually enter in the dealer's name and see if they have any charges against them, who you're dealing with. The salesperson that contacted you, are they registered?
See,
right?
that's why I like the rat list.
Yep.
Because frankly, I want to distill this down to, can I trust who I'm dealing with or not? And that's a fast way for consumers to
So
do
I guess
it.
there's a couple things that we could do. We could go online and see Dealer Rater, which is a rating system, Google reviews. You could ask owners if you're interested in a Nissan product or a Honda, whatever. Find somebody in a parking lot. Where did you buy your car? Are you happy? Was the service good? How did the salespeople treat you? There's a lot of avenues, and of course, buying services or referral services, such as the APA, will provide valuable input on dealers. And we vet all our retailer dealers that we deal with to a certain code of conduct and ethics. And one of the things we didn't mention is OMVIC has regulations in place.
I want to ask JP something. I've never asked you this before.
Okay.
I go into a dealer because I know the dealer and that's fine. I don't like the salesperson
So-
that comes up to me because they go in order.
Some
who
do,
walks
some,
in
some
the
are
door.
open floor, some are.
But you kind of know, they make a beeline, they try and make eye contact, you're trying to look down because you just want to look, you don't know. So I'm dealing with somebody and I'm thinking, and I know me, I'll just leave the whole dealership.
Yeah.
But I know there's times when, is there a way I can say, this guy's just pissing me off, can I deal with someone else?
You can excuse yourself, go to the reception,
Yeah.
and ask to speak to a management. A lot of times it's just sometimes people are over excited to talk to people or maybe misinformed, and it's a good point of practice. If you're not happy, don't punish the dealership per se.
Well, that's what I don't want to do, but
you
it's
can
like
just go and ask for the
dating.
management because
Yeah.
management will help you personally, or they'll assign you someone that can.
Now, will the other guy get in trouble?
No.
Or will they get mad at you? Or
Well,
someone
they-
get
they-
mad at you?
well,
This-
they-
I guess that's a chick question, but it's like, oh, I don't want to,
But
I
you know
don't
what?
wanna be
If I'm
mean.
spending $15, $20, $50, $100,000, I personally don't care if that person gets upset with me. And,
Okay.
and that's just like, I might get in trouble for saying that, but
No.
realistically, if it's my money, I will spend it the way I want.
'Cause I think
The
sometimes
truth-
that personality thing does come into play, and people do just
Absolutely.
walk out
I
the
see it on a
door.
daily
Yeah.
basis. Also, when you're in the dealer, when you are looking around, if you haven't made an appointment, just watch what's happening on the floor and watch the customer's interactions with the salesperson. You may want to wait for a salesperson you really like the way they work.
And you're allowed to do that.
Absolutely. You're
Okay.
you're not waiting. You can, just like a hairdresser. I can help you now. No, I'm going to wait for Susie.
Some of
Yeah,
us
so-
can't break up with our hairdressers
I know,
either,
I know.
trust me.
But the one thing is, like John mentioned, look at Google reviews. Does the dealer website have a lot of information, like how-to videos? Do they have testimonials, not written testimonials, do they have video testimonials of why people bought from them? Can you find anything about them? Googling a business, you will find other places like forums where people maybe had a problem or a resolution. In the reviews, did that dealer actually try to make contact and resolve a problem? Also, I know we talked about from secondhand dealers, their same issue, look at the same way they do it, look at staff. Do the staff have pictures there? Do the staff have names? Do they have email addresses? Because if they don't,
Little fly-by-night.
little fly-by-night
story.
stuff. And if you're buying from a private seller, and it's really, in recent years, we've had some news stories break about what's happened. If you're selling a car, just to be totally safe for yourself, meet them in a public area, and if someone's taking a drive with your car, take a picture of their license, then email or send it as messenger to someone and tell them what you're doing. And then that person has a record of it. We've actually seen people I know that when they ask the person buggers off.
Okay.
So,
And the police are starting to provide safe places to do
Absolutely.
work this way. We'll be back after this break with more Lemonade Car Show. The Lemonade Car Show is sponsored by OMVIC, Ontario's vehicle sales regulator. The Lemonade Car Show is sponsored by OMVIC, Ontario's vehicle sales regulator. Welcome back to the Lemonade Car Show, brought to you by OMVIC and Crown Rust Proofing. I'm with John Raymond and JP Ostiguy. We're getting great information today on buying new cars. Leave me all peppy in the morning.
That's the three of us.
John, good tools, good resources for buying cars. What's the best place to start?
Buying services or referring services such as the APA. One of the best places is actually carcomplaints.com. And why would you look at that if I'm buying a new car? Well, why don't you look at the history of complaints? So if you're looking at XYZ car and the complaints seem to be going down or there are no complaints, maybe that's a good car to buy. It will be more reliable. So it gives you an idea of the history of that model range. Reading reviews, there's so many reviews online, so we recommend getting a smattering. Definitely look at reviews in Canada because we have a different environment. And sometimes go to blog sites such as forums where everything you want to know about your Ford Mustang,
yeah,
and things like that.
that's an endless resource.
There's always one know-it-all on every forum. Have you ever noticed
absolutely.
that? I tell people to narrow it down to 3 cars. Get an idea of those 3, and then, because if you're looking at 23, it's almost impossible. But APA is a ton of stuff. I like websites that have everything from reviews to current legislation going on, to what's in the news, to tire comparisons and stuff. So APA has a lot of stuff on
And
that
we
website.
have the Lemonade Car Guide, which is
That's fun.
excellent.
Yeah.
Buy it, put it in the bathroom. That's all we read
Exactly.
in the bathroom.
If you need something, not online and you want a book, look at that. And also, the standby consumer reports. They come out with their annual guide. That and the Lemonade Car Guide together is a great marriage before you go and make your choice.
Being a dealer that works with the APA, and I have since 2010, it makes it a lot easier. If you really want a good service, the APA is a nonprofit. They're really easy to work with from a dealer perspective, which makes the buying experience better because they screen us. How long have I been with them? 2010, and you still screen my dealers twice a year. So, and not all my dealers are on the APA because some of them don't reach the standards that I would expect as a buyer. So, using the APA is a good function, and the dealers do like that experience too because we know that you're well educated and you know what you want to do. Other resource sites, there's cost sites and everything else. So you really want to go it alone, you can go to different sites and download cost reports and go in, and they do give you a measure of information about what you can use and how you can address it. Those are some ideas to use, but just become well armed when you walk in dealership. Know what you want, be open to ideas and be open to suggestions because sometimes we get pigeonholed in our thoughts.
I wrote a column once, and I talked to he was a salesman, and I said, flip this around. You're anonymous. Tell me what you want to know. He goes, buyers are liars. I said, well, that's a little harsh. He goes, nope, buyers are liars. When I talk to buyers, they go, sales reps have this reputation that they're the liars. So I'm thinking, this is like a Roman Colosseum, and you're sending everybody in there to kill each other. And I know buyers, sometimes we lie to get out of there. Because we don't like it.
Well,
so how do we get honesty back into this equation?
Well, first of all, come up when you walk into a dealership. I know there's always people walk into dealerships usually with a plan. They walk in, okay, if we're gonna buy a car, we're gonna do it this way, and we're gonna pay this much, and everything else, and that's all fair and good. When I started in the automotive industry, I had no idea. I thought there was $9,000 markup in a $10,000 car, and there's $300 or less in a Micra. So be open to suggestions. Also, when you do your research, when you contact to book an appointment, look at if the individual has reviews, talk to them first. If you don't like them, don't deal with them. And then lay your cards on the table, what you want to do. Don't tell a dealer how much you want to pay. And again, it's like telling a mechanic, I can only spend $700. It was a flat. Okay. Absolutely, I'll take care of that. It was I got your deal, $695. Just make sure that you are open with the dealer, and they'll be more open with you. If you don't like the process, stop it. It's your money. You can walk out.
Well, see, we hear that there's also rebates and stuff that the dealers have access to if they hit certain sales figures. So
Absolutely.
there's a lot that's going on behind it. It's like sausage.
Well,
it gets made. You don't want to see how it's getting made.
I can't comment on every brand, but with Nissan, you're right. There is what's called holdbacks, what we get bonused on per quarter. So, but it's based on 17 different criteria. Only one is which sales. There's customer expectation and evaluation, email capture. We have to use a tablet now for the experience. So that money is not guaranteed for dealers. I've had many people say, well, I know you're going to get like X amount of dollars after. Well, that's 300 cars away now and 3 months away. I don't know if I'm going to make that target. Like our quarter end is the end of December.
Well, the other thing is that you guys are entitled to make a decent living.
Absolutely.
And I say fair price for fair product is the way I look at it. You have overheads. Keeping on the lot costs money the longer that car is in there. So if both sides come into it respecting that, it helps a lot. So yeah. I'm not going to see every rebate you're able to get, but I'm going to see a lot more than I used to know. So let everybody eat.
Or become an APA member, where we have all the information, all the rebates that went, all the secret programs, what you should be getting, but more importantly, what is a reasonable profit for the dealer to make that we've vetted and negotiated beforehand.
So I think the pendulum has to come back to some center place where we can all do it.
And if you send an email into a dealer, don't be like, I'm going to help you make your quarter, because we're just going to, it's not the best start of a relationship on both sides.
Okay, we'll be back with more Lemonade Car Show after this break. The Lemonade Car Show is sponsored by OMVIC, Ontario's vehicle sales regulator. The Lemonade Car Show is sponsored by OMVIC, Ontario's vehicle sales regulator. Welcome back to the Lemonade Car Show, brought to you by Crown and OMVIC. We're joined now by my mechanic, Chris Muir, and JP Ostiguy remains on the panel. We're still talking about new cars and buying cars. Chris, I brought you on for a reason. You drive by dealerships, they plunk all these cars out with the hoods all up. You go in the showroom, they've got the hoods open. You go to buy a car, they go here, and they pop the hood. We're staring at a bunch of sealed plastic. You can't see anything anymore. okay, why do they do that? But is there a point?
Well, I mean, way back when, you used to be able to see a lot of the bright work of the engine, the actual base of the engine. Now it's like looking into a Tupperware container.
So it's kind of silly.
It's absolutely
So I
ridiculous.
don't have to feel bad for looking at it going, I don't know.
No, not at all.
Okay.
Everything's covered with visual shrouds anyways.
Okay, now a question for both of you. There was a time, I won't admit when or how, I bought a vehicle and I bought the engine. It was offered with that engine, but after driving it, I realized that engine was too small for that vehicle for a comfortable, good ride. And even though it was offered, doesn't mean I should have bought it.
Correct.
So how do I determine whether that entry-level four-banger is going to pull this heavier vehicle or not? And should a salesman be telling me not to buy that? Are they obligated to let me go along with that or suggest something better?
They are obligated. We when we take our OMVIC exam, part of the questions is not selling anything that the customer is not going to benefit or will be not whole from. So if I sell someone a turboed engine that has a 3,000 pound towing capacity, but my trailer is 5,000 pounds, like, oh, you're only going to tow it once a year. I've broken my code of ethics. I can't do that. And if you're a salesperson or a professional doesn't know and is looking at the magazine, maybe ask for someone else that knows more. If you want to buy a truck and tow something, get a truck specialist.
Yeah.
If you want a hot rod specialist, get a performance guy. Don't buy a GTR from someone who sells micros and necessarily has nothing above the micro line, because they can't help you.
Yeah. Answering why that engine's in there, you see, manufacturers would love to sell just cookie cutter, big, powerful engines. However, they have to meet fuel economy requirements. And for somebody who is buying a pickup truck just to have a pickup truck that looks like a pickup truck and will never tow anything with it, yeah, a little V6 or even a turbo inline 4 is going to be a fine choice for that person. But as soon as you start towing, or if you want performance out of it, well, you've got to start stepping up the engine lines. So the engine is offered as a base option for this person that buys this particular vehicle. They keep their fuel economy numbers nice and low so they can sell more of the big monster engines that consume a whole bunch of fuel to the people who actually need it for towing. Now the problem is that entry-level option is cheap, because they have to sell them.
Because that's the ones where you get on the highway and you put your boot into it and you wait a few minutes and then it
Yeah,
finally catches up.
it's all of the lag of having a turbocharger with none of the actual action of having a turbocharger.
Is it also so that manufacturers can say from, like that lowest price, even though you know you're never going to pay that price, you're going to want some, and what I like is when manufacturers say nicely equipped at whatever.
Yes.
And I know Kia, when they brought the Optima out about 5 years ago, you can only buy it in one kind. And all the stuff, they said that's what that car needs to have on it and in it.
When truck manufacturers say the highest towing capacity, but they're showing the bottom line model and the price, you just got to be wary. Also, take it on the highway. Like if you're driving on the highway, I do like 12,000 K every 2 months. Put it on the highway and drive it, because it could have great pickup in the city, but when you're at 190 and 100, 110, you need to pass someone and there's nothing there, that becomes a safety issue.
Oh yeah.
So
definitely.
just make sure that the dealer, and they know ahead of time that you want to take it on the highway, because if they say no, well, you've made your decision not to go with that dealer. You know?
Answering to your towing capacity as well, they might show you the biggest, dirtiest dual-wheel truck with the longest cab and everything else. That's not the one with the maximum towing capacity. It's very likely a long box, regular cab truck, because all of that bell and whistle that you just put on the truck added weight and diminished the tow capacity on it.
But it's also understanding, like a lot of people buy vehicles with the idea, like trucks. People buy trucks because I'm going to live in the woods and I'm going to save people and they have no intention of ever, like nothing's ever going to happen. But if you are planning to buy a vehicle that does
I'm
tow,
going to live in the woods and save people.
someone told me that once, so I had to say it. And I was like, okay. But the whole idea is, if you're buying something and you know you're going to tow it, get an idea of what you're going to be towing first, and that will help you. Do you need waggle bars that will help you from the trailer swaying? Do you need things like that? Do you have a boat that's, because you can pull 3,000 pounds, your boat's 2,500. You pull that out of a boat launch, that water weight drag is going to be at 6,000 pounds. How often are you doing it? Where are you moving it to? These are things that you want to consider too. And your salesperson should know that when you're asking them these questions.
And also, you're a huge off-roader. You
I
do
am.
like all this stuff. Talk to people who do this. Talk to people who have boats, especially if you're a first-time boat owner, because boats are like cars. You go up in size. You know, as soon as you get one, you want the next one.
Horsepoweritis.
Yeah.
And Ford has this thing. It's like a mouse for backing up trailers. and I am triple dyslexic or something. I cannot work it, like, and it does it for you. All you have to do is like, Lorraine, just turn it like this. I'm, you know, and the thing's all over the place because I'm kind of stupid. But they're getting more complicated, and if you already know how to back up a trailer, it'll probably mess you up.
Oh, completely.
Because it's counterintuitive,
Yep.
which is already counterintuitive.
So now you've learned to turn the wheels the wrong way, and this thing wants you to turn the wheels the right way while you're backing up, and you're going to turn it the wrong way. Next thing you know, you've got a truck and a trailer
Put a
touching each
snowmobile trailer in
other.
the back and try to wrap that up.
Thank you, Chris Muir, JP Ostiguy. That's all we have for Lemonade Car Show today. I'm Lorraine Sommerfeld. Thanks to the sponsors, Omvit Crown, Hotspot, Auto Parts, and Sound Insurance. We'll see you all again next time.